Hotel maid staff, what's the nastiest room you've had to clean and why? NSFW. Had a friend that worked cleaning a day's in right off the interstate by a truck stop. She had some ducked up stories. Most wrapped around bizarre places to find used condoms. Like behind the TV or on the windowsill behind a curtain. She made it about 5 months. I walked into the aftermath of an attempted suicide. A man had slit his wrists and drank lots of vodka. We called the ambulance and they took him away. Still alive. The mattress was purplish brown with blood and pee. It soaked right through 2 waterproof mattress covers. We didn't even try to wash the sheets and covers. Just stuffed them in black trash bags and chucked them in a dumpster. The hotel owners wanted to try to salvage the mattress. So we stood it up and sprayed it down with all sorts of disinfectors and let it air out. But no dice. They even had to remove the carpet in the room because it held onto the sick blood smell. Update. I just got home from another fun day at the same hotel. I scrubbed lots of vomit out of a bed skirt this afternoon. Thanks for everyone being so horrified/interested in my hotel tale. Another not maid staff. But. Response. I used to work security at a resort. The worst that I witnessed was the aftermath of a couple getting into an argument. A husband and wife were drunk and taking a bath together. And then got into an argument. The wife pooped in the bath. Picked up the turds. And threw them at her husband like a monkey. Then the husband accidentally stepped on one and smushed it into the carpet. I felt terrible for the 5 housekeepers that had to clean it up. And even worse for the couple's 2 kids that were in the room. Not a maid. But I worked as a maintenance man and had to clean out apartments. One apartment I had to clean had a refrigerator stuffed full of food because the occupants had been evicted. Unfortunately, the electric company had shut off the electricity, so the food had been rotting for well over a month. It was the most god-awful smell I've ever encountered in my life. Rotting fish, rotting chicken, and a lot of stuff that was so rotten you couldn't even tell what it had originally been. However, the boss said I had to do it, so I did it. I lost control and vomited several times while trying to scrape the goop out. I sprayed the fridge with strong cleaning chemicals and spent an hour scrubbing the hell out of it, but I couldn't get the smell out. I finally gave up and told my boss about it, and she insisted on seeing for herself. She walked into the apartment, gagged at the smell, and told me to throw the fridge out without even looking inside. All that effort and puking for nothing. I'm a housekeeper at a 3-star hotel, nothing fancy but not a motel. Young and need money for a new car, I hate it but gotta do what I gotta do. Recently, since it's the holidays, so many single people renting rooms and drinking loads of liquor, and eating cupcakes. And puking. Everywhere. I don't expect tips, but come on, if you vomit please leave me something. It takes 40 minutes to clean that room, they're so trashed. The smell is awful and they'll smile at me to check out and walk away. I go in and it's just pink/orange puke everywhere. It's a depressing job for a young person, I'm going to be honest, but it's a job, so I'm thankful. Former receptionist here with first-hand maid staff stories. One time we were hosting the crew of the Antonov 124, which hauled some equipment out of our country on a special charter. So basically, if you're not familiar with the Antonov 124, it's a giant cargo plane for big cargo and is hella old, so it always travels with a group of technicians that repair the plane while traveling and on ground. So this group of Russian/Ukrainian technicians was accommodated in our hotel for 2 nights. I believe there was around 8 to 10 of them and had either 4 or 5 rooms. Can't remember exactly anymore. After they left, the cleaning staff discovered bones from what used to be cow or pig calves. They had cooked it somewhere and were eating the whole meat parts in their rooms. Everything was greasy. With linen, nightables, carpets, handles, thick cigarette smell despite it being a non-smoking hotel. Trash towels, also greasy. We had to close the rooms for a few days to get them back in order and get rid of the cigarette smell. Not a maid or even work at a hotel. Some friends and I stayed at a hotel because we traveled to see a concert. When we were packing up to go the next morning, one of my friends lost his wallet. In our frantic search, someone lifted up one of the mattresses for some reason. Right there was a drug kit. Needles, spoon, lighter, etc. No actual drugs inside. We all contemplated what to do. We all found it odd that A, it had not been located previously, because even to change the sheets you would have found it. It was really close to the edge of the mattress. And B, a drug addict would leave their entire kit behind like that. We all came to the agreement to just leave it and forget about it. We speculated that it may have belonged to a staff member. We then proceeded to make jokes along the lines of, "You look stressed, Kate. Go clean room 13 for a bit. Wink wink nudge nudge." Someone I knew sprayed that cheese in a can stuff all over the room during a middle school field trip. Exotic car convention or something. Several rooms hadn't been cleaned for at least a week. Some of the cats were left in the room to roam. The worst room had a huge pile of kitty litter by the trash. Small granules scatter across the whole room. The armoire was moved, which was giant and took a lot to move. The phone cord was chewed on half. This was one room, mind you. To top it off, the front desk sends up a tour bus of British tourists. The couple finds this room I am still cleaning and says it smells a bit like a cat. Doesn't it, in quite a thick British accent? 14-year-old me musters the most professionalism I have available and say to go back to the front desk and get a new room. I had already given my notice as it was the end of the summer. I informed my supervisor I would not be back the next day to finish my notice, as he sat in the office not helping me finish up. Another fun time was a nice note explaining all the blood was from his hemorrhoids. So I learned what that was at 14. Long story short, don't let young people work in a hotel for a first job. My Phoenix uncle owns a motel and he'll help out during the summer, and there have been a few rooms. One was this Midwestern family who literally would use the swimming pool in jeans and whatnot. Only asked for towels the whole time except for the day before they were supposed to check out, and it was such an atrocity in the room. Fried rice and blunt guts all over the floor / bureau / the bathroom sink, as well as the whole bathroom being stained purple from hair dye. Literal baby shit / piss soaked sheets and pillows festering in a corner, so we told the front office and they got kicked out. The people were atrocious, especially for having 3 children ranging from like 14 to 6 with them. Not housekeeping, but worked as security for a resort casino for several years. I've seen some crazy stuff. But one thing that always stuck with me was one time a fish, a whole 2 to 3 pound fish, was found in the bathroom sink. It wasn't bad to clean up, luckily. Really, though, a fish? I found a shitty thong shoved in a cabinet under a kitchen sink. Same room had blood spots all over the bed and puke all over the bathroom floor. Okay, so not maid staff, and didn't have to clean it, but I stayed at a hotel on Daytona Beach during spring break with a friend, and when we got to the room it was covered in sand. Which, I would understand if this wasn't our first time in. LOL. And there was a really shitty cover-up of a huge swastika on the ceiling, as well as blood splatter all over the bottom half of the bed frame and under the mattress itself. Not a housekeeper, but front desk. And 2 incidents come to mind. One was of an elderly couple that stayed with us for a week. They refused service during their entire stay. And at checkout, housekeeping was in for a surprise. It was a room with 2 queen-size beds, and one of them was just covered in diarrhea. Some of the carpet, a small lounge chair, and the tub in the bathroom were also affected. The room was out on maintenance for a week, and I remember it taking 2 to 3 housekeepers to clean it. The second incident was fairly recent. It wasn't so much nasty, but rather an impressive mess. A guest was staying in 2 rooms with his family, including some children. After the guest had checked out, our head housekeeper called to complain that the guests had smoked weed in the room, and that the floor was covered in the stuff. It being a state where weed is legal, so I thought nothing of it. But then I got a bit curious about how messy the rooms were once 2 other housekeepers commented about the mess. I went over to check the 2 rooms out. The carpets / beds / counters in both rooms were completely covered in weed, as if someone took a trash bag full of the stuff and had a food fight with it. In one of the rooms there was also a large plastic container with at least 3 to 4 pounds of weed in it. We closed both rooms down, informed the manager, NPD was called before the rooms were touched. I used to work in housekeeping at an embassy suites. One day I pushed my car to my next room to check on and clean. Knocking on the door twice with no answer. Scanned my card to open the door. Headed in only to see a woman with full clown makeup on and naked from the waist down humping a balloon on the floor. I must have been frozen there staring for a second too long because an irritated man in a clown suit enters my periphery and squeaks a horn at me. I promptly leave. The co-worker who ended up having to clean the room complained of a custom latex bottom sheet covered in lube, and who knows what else, left on the mattress. Dozens of pop balloons and streaks of bright colored makeup streaking the tub, sink and toilet. Everyone's got a fetish, I guess. Well, this is not a disgusting gross out story. Just don't understand how these people can live. I once cleaned small holiday houses as a summer job, which was always interesting to see what you will find when you open the door. One house in particular was just really gross and wasn't cleaned the time the renters were in there, otherwise it wouldn't be that gross. The kitchen was completely orange colored from maybe tomato sauce. I still can't wrap my head around how you can get the countertop of the kitchen and sink completely colored in orange/red. Then on the floor in the seating area there were all plucks of dog hair. Just everywhere on the ground and on the couches and chairs. I think I cleaned out the first floor. So I'm not sure what the bedrooms and bathrooms looked like. But I was just like, how can people live like this? Do they also do this in their own home? Have they someone to clean their home, or did they do this because they figured people will clean it anyway so they can leave it really disgusting? I got really surprised with people when cleaning the holiday houses. I used to work reception. Nothing gory but just gross people. There was a couple with a newborn who decided that a great spot to put a month worth of used nappies was next to and on the TV in a pile. There was another 3 piles of trash and leftovers strewn over different corners. The flat-screen TV was used as the child's paint canvas. This led to policy that rooms have to be checked once a week, even if the guests refuse. Another couple who was only there for 4 days decided to not even pile their trash. It was almost like those pranks when you fill up hundreds of plastic cups with water so someone has to pick them up. Except it was energy drinks, gamer fuels, McDonald's, and every piece of garbage you can think of covering the entire apartment. Oh, and they snuck a cat in and used the corner of the room with one only piece of newspaper as the kitty litter. The cat had used some furniture as a scratching post too. Late to the party but I wanted to share. Walked into a room once with blood everywhere. Tarps crumpled on the floor and what looked like human body parts strewn about. Screamed. Left the room and called the cops. Turns out it was a hunter that cleaned his kills in the room.